Are we not men?
I want to be a woman.
Well, okay.
Watch it, Alan. I'm shooting.
Island of Lost Souls. Island of Lost Souls came out in the 1930s, which is horror's renaissance. This is when all the classics came out. Dracula, Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, The Mummy, and probably the most important movie to sci-fi, horror, and fantasy, King Kong. This was the important time period. These movies were the prototypes for every horror movie that followed afterwards. If it weren't for Dracula, Frankenstein, and The Mummy, we never would have had Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, or Jason Voorhees. You've got Universal releasing all these horror movies back then, which many of us horror fans know and love, but then Paramount releases this little movie called Island of Lost Souls. Island of Lost Souls was the first on-screen adaptation of The Island of Dr. Moreau, written by H.G. Wells. He also gave us War of the Worlds, The Time Machine, and The Invisible Man, which 1 year after Island of Lost Souls joined the ranks of the Universal horror monsters. So 2 years in a row, we got stories by H.G. Wells adapted into Golden Age horror movies. Why am I bringing this up? Because it's fun to reveal fun facts about movies. You do it too, don't you deny it. But enough of these strange things called books, we're movie fanatics. If you don't know the Moreau story, a shipwrecked man finds his way to an island owned by Dr. Moreau, obviously. As he stays there, he has a few encounters with the strange natives of the island, and he soon discovers that the good doctor has been conducting experiments to turn animals into people. All this done in the House of Pain.
Have you forgotten the House of Pain? You made us in the House of Pain.
Around Halloween, I always find myself going back to black and white horror movies because they just have a feel that fits the time of year. As Halloween comes closer, you don't only see images of Leatherface and Jason Voorhees, you see images of Dracula and the Wolfman. And even though I love the classic Universal monster movies, I just love Island of Lost Souls even more. Dr. Moreau deserves to be up there with the classic Universal horror villains. He deserves to have his arm right around Dracula. Hey buddy, how you doing? It's a great mad scientist movie. It has everything you're looking for in the genre. High-tech lab equipment that also looks kind of medieval. Scientific jargon explaining how they accomplished their deed, but it's still vague enough because, let's face it, there's something that man is not meant to know. And the main thing that a good mad scientist needs, the God complex.
Mr. Parker, do you know what it means to feel like God?
Charles Laughton plays Dr. Moreau, and as I've said, he's the unsung horror villain from back in the day. He steals every scene that he's in. As soon as he walks into the room, he's like, give me that scene, it's mine. He's a very charismatic asshole. You can't help but love the guy, even though, let's face it, he's basically torturing these people that he made from animals. They're his creations, he made them, so in his mind he has rights over them. One of the most unsettling scenes is when he uncovers one of the men that he's made from an animal on this operating table. The poor creature is just laying there screaming in agony because no anesthesia in the House of Pain. And Moreau doesn't care. He doesn't have compassion. He just cares about his work. He's looking over the guy like a cut of meat. It's pretty disturbing. But the best thing about this movie is the makeup work and the prosthetics. Charlie Gomorrah, one of the unsung founders of makeups and prosthetic work, did the makeup for this movie, and they're fantastic. He was uncredited in this movie, and that's bullshit. The makeup work's not only impressive for back then, it still holds up today, in my opinion. But the best scene of this movie is when the Beastmen rebel. It's one of my top 10 favorite horror movie scenes, when all those faces come rushing towards the camera. It's just one of the most fantastic scenes in horror.
Bartman! Bart Beast!
Whenever I've come across people that say they don't like black and white horror movies, I show them this one. And if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest giving it a shot. I'm a 70s horror fan through and through, but I love every decade in the genre. If you're not a black and white horror fan, give Island of Lost Souls a chance and check out some other black and white horror movies. You'll enjoy them, I promise. Now let me ask you, what's your favorite black and white horror movie? Not counting Psycho or Night of the Living Dead. Everybody always brings those movies up. I'm talking pre-60s. black and white horror. This is your buddy Justin here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die. Are we not men?